So if we want to turn back to page 144 in the section on Breshit, so it's before the blue divider there. We talk about Enosh. We talk about the first son of Adam and Eve who manages to have offspring that populate the world. We see number 7 and 8. Az huchal, then it started. So again, with that same root of a word, again with the same note.
That's a good point.
So the commentary number 8 on page 145 says it was started a trend of divination, which kept widening its popularity amongst his contemporaries, who were described by a term, the generation of Enosh, as depicted by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So he's saying that they're using God's name in an improper way.
But it also has a positive spin on it too, not according to this person.
Using God's name, but they're using it for the wrong thing.
Right.
So again,
everything has to put by the way, mankind in Hebrew is Enosh from this. Enosh started mankind.
And people are Anashim.
Anashim, right.
Comes from
and women
Enosh.
are Nashim. Happy Weinstein is Happy Weinstein.
All right, we will continue on. So we were talking about Nimrod and Hu Hechel. He had started. Number 6, Lihiyot, for being, with the Mercha. So this is likely connected to what's come from before, but mostly going to sweep us forward into what's going to come afterwards. Number 6, according to, I guess on the next page, due to his aggressive undertaking, so we're on page 105 and 106 in the section on Noach. Number 6, due to his aggressive undertakings, his expedience and demagoguery, he was admired for being outstanding and most capable, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, what he portrayed is something that is noteworthy, at least in his generation. Gibor, a hero, tipcha, which has the closing characteristic of getting back to talking about what had happened before, and then standing out and having a pause after it. Number 7, amongst his contemporaries, he became known as a hero beyond doubt or competition, as suggested by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So his feats and actions stood out, and no one else in the generation could compare to him. That's why he closes the thought of beginning for being a hero.
By the way, it's interesting that the word Tzai, that's what you think of Esav, and he's the one who got the Esav's, that's why the mantle. Aderet, the Aderet, that's from Nimrod, from Adam and Rishon. By Yaakov, when Yitzchak smelled the smelling Gan Eden, because it was passed down from, actually Esav stole it from Nimrod, right?
So there are a lot of midrashim that come, and quite often midrashim will come because of a coincidence of words. And you will not, so you won't have the same word appearing in two different contexts without there being some type of a connection. So when you have the same word appearing and there is no obvious shot that will give an answer, quite often Midrash will step in and say, because we're talking with the same phraseology, the same root word, the same thing must be happening. So we just saw that with Huchal and Hechel. You also see it with Gibor, a word that is repeated when we talk about Esav.
I meant Tzayid, actually. More than Gibor. Tzayid.
Well,
the peak, remember?
I understand, but I think...
Is Gibor by Esav too?
Gibor Tzai.
No,
Tzai the thief is something else.
No, that's like each time you're Shevalim, each
okay.
You're Tzai the thief or something like that. The Gibor is not the base. Gibor is also in another place at the base of, but what you're saying is true. Whether we do, I said it outside, but you can say like what?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go on, but so we've closed the thought with Gibor, Ba'aretz, on the land, sort of separated out from the concept of Gibor. The land is going to be a stabilizing influence for the Sof Pasuk for itself. Not only does his fame spread all over on the land among his friends, but he was even worshipped among his adversaries. So his popularity is something that was shared by others. So again, something that is shared is something that is stabilizing. So that's why the word the land, even those people who were not his subjects, still had some stability based on his influence, because there could be such a great leader. So when we read the sentence, we're going to notice the fact that Cush is separated out from Yaladet Nimrod, and Lihiyot Gibor, to be a hero, is again separated out from the land, and that's why the land is not talking about the land that Nimrod ruled, rather than it's talking about other lands, because of the imposed pause that the Tipcha gives us. V'chush Yalad et Nimrod hu hechel liyot gibor ba'aretz. We are on page 106, Breshit Yud, Pasuk Tet, 10:9, Hu Haya, with a mercha. So this is going to be lightly tied to what's come from before, but mostly pushes forward into what's going to come afterwards. He had been diverse in his tactics and thorough in his approach, combining overwhelming physical power with psychological preparations conditioned to achieve his objectives, as indicated by the directional shape of the reading mark. So what he was is going to sweep him forward into what he is eventually going to be. Gibor Tzayid, a mighty hunter, Tipcha. So this is the closing part of that thought, and it's going to pause slightly afterwards. A mighty hunter, number 2, because of his methods consisting of preliminary deception along with resolute actions, he became a mighty hunter, even of those creatures considered immune, as shown by the closing shape of the directional reading mark.
When I did the thing about Gibor Tzayid and everything, I was on the wrong page. That's why, you know what I mean? When you were reading, it's just Gibor. Now I realize it's Gibor Tzayid. I was looking at what we're going to do next. Okay.
That's okay. So
it's interesting. There was just Gibor. Now it's Gibor Tzayid twice.
Well, that I noticed because I go, oh, they have a different meaning, but
no, the other one was Gibor. Now it's going to be Gibor Tzayid twice. Gibor Tzayid and Gibor Tzayid. In the same pasuk.
So again, we have seen this several times, that we might have the same word get a little bit of a different definition, either in context or because of phraseology, and certainly words have a little bit of play to them, a little bit of ability to have more than one thing. So we have another note here. The Zohar says Nimrod was wearing the clothes of Adam, and by that he ruled animals and people alike, due to, quote, a superior secret, Raza Ila'a.
Almost like a Dr. Drew, maybe he could talk to the animals.
Not necessarily ability to talk to, but Adam was specifically told that he would be above the animals. So he has something that is a sign of that, and therefore he can exert that power based on his possession of that item. I'm a little puzzled as to a lot of the Mefarshim take the word Gibor Tzayid and say that he wasn't only a hunter of animals, he was a hunter of human souls as well. And I don't see that defined in the text here anywhere.
But that time, you reminded me, but the thing I said about Asaph, there were Hirsch, my favorite, Hirsch says, something, Ish Sadeh Said B'Pi.
Yeah.
And he says he's a hunter with words, and he says, i.e., diplomat. Nice fellow, diplomat. A hunter with words. Isn't that interesting? It said Said B'Pi.
Yeah.
What is Said B'Pi? Maybe that's that secret, what that Raza Aliyah that you just said, whatever that, maybe you knew their language. I don't know, something that even Adam, it makes it sound like it's something even above what Adam had. Or when you
Why say something above? No, something that allows him to
rule over them.
to have that same characteristic or mantle. So it's like a badge, if you will. It's something that you wear that others will recognize.
Like Cain had
Animal with birth.
Right.
So probably not an influencer by words, although we're questioning that. It's more a question of an influencer by either bearing or by clothing. So I'll get to a second. So like you're the king because you're standing there on the throne and wearing the crown. So I think it's more similar than that that he's wearing quote unquote the same clothes, and therefore he has recognition based on costume, rather than recognition based on influence.
But that would go when they said about he was a sheep in wolf's clothing. He pretended he was this benevolent, but he was really he had another objective.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be that this is a step almost in human evolution? Like Adam, he was above the animal, like he was, he was human, and then they dropped a level, and maybe they were hunted and hunting, and kind of on the same level. Now this is like almost like now, like we're not so afraid of animals, like we're above them because we have a specific status now, like that we.
So Adam was told that he is both the highest and the lowest at the same time, but he was given the ability to see the characteristics of each of the animals, and therefore was allowed to give them a name, and in giving them a name, he defined them as well, and that sort of gave him power over them because he knew their essence. So the knowledge and the ability to impart that knowledge partly defined the animals. So Adam had that strength over them, and yet he was created last and all of them were on the earth before him. So somewhere within him he had to find the humility to say that he was created of the same stuff, and he never managed to get there.
But also speaking what you're saying about also Shimshon Hirsch says about Esav that he was hairy, that's not about evolution, he calls it devolution. That Esav had devolved from, Adam Arishon, who was on a high level, and now he's acting like an animal. So it's actually different, and that's why he was hairy. He was more like an animal than a person.
We're not going to make mention of that, but you're...
He's a little Esav. And I'm wearing Adam. Oh my God.
There you go.
Well, more animal than person is actually Yishmael.
Right.
Adam, that
So-
reverses the adjective in noun. Right?
So the Yishmael is defined as Pere Adam,
No, Adam. Oh yeah, it should be right.
So he is not a person who is wild. He is a wild thing that looks like a person.
Where the wild things are. Because usually in Hebrew the noun is first, then the adjective. And here it's the adjective first to show that's his essence, the wildness. And he's a person, by the way, he's a person. Not much of a person.
But coming back to this for a second, I wonder again. I think it may have been said, but the same way as Cain was given a mark, that all the animals recognized that they wouldn't hurt him. So perhaps there is this symbol that Kodesh Baruch created that innately animals recognize as someone you need to respect, stay far from, somehow keep apart from. And Nimrod was able to get that symbol or figure out what the symbol was, inherit it from Adam, as it were, that even the animals, by their very nature, knew he's somebody special that I have to.
Agreed, but I think we are defining here a prop or a physical item rather than a characteristic of personality.
Where are you getting that from? From that Raza Elwa?
Yep. And specifically inheritance of clothes is what Zohar and Midrash talk about, right?
You read that, but just from these words, Raza Elwa doesn't tell you.
Raza Ila'i just means a higher secret.
Yeah. Right. So
So
that's what I'm saying. Where are you getting the clothes idea from?
That's again what we say that Esav had inherited. He had inherited the actual clothes that Nimrod is wearing now, and then Esav is going to wear later, which Adam Harishon had worn first.
But they say, wait, I forgot. Nimrod is the one who stole it from Adam and Chava. That's the Kutzon Or. Your animals, or with an eye.
Is this the assumption this is the clothing that Hashem made for Adam?
I just said that.
Yes.
I do listening. Just said it, and I'm sitting right next to you.
Well, it went into that ear and it came out the other one. It was fine.
It's about to go through Sue's ear now.
What did you say?
It
Wait,
was echoing.
channel it.
Okay, so broken telephone. We're gonna.
But his overwhelming characteristic is Gibor. He's described in 3 places as Gibor.
Yeah.
A Gibor is Lehit Gaber. He has the confidence and the focus to rise above and to achieve a goal and to conquer. So he was a natural leader. And so I think that characteristic of leadership was something that other creatures, people and other creatures also gravitated towards and recognized. So he did have the mantle in all of its meanings, the physical cloak that had the mantle of power associated with it. But he also carried it as a princeling.
What's the phraseology suggests? He's the prototypical Gibor Tzai. Koyad Gibor Tzai. Boom. Right? There's a Tipchat stops you there. That's who he was. Boom. You look up in Webster's, there's his picture.
I'm wondering if, and we'll come to it in the second part of the sentence, so here we have the phrase Gibor Tzai, a mighty hunter, both being assigned a single note. And you're going to notice in the second half of the sentence that those two words are separated and get their own characteristics, even if they are joined together in the sense of Merchan Tipcha. So we might say that he has both aspects of something that is physically projected and something that is projected based on character and ability to influence. Because otherwise the Torah, that is very sparing of words, wouldn't mention the same thought twice. So it might be something internal and something external, based on the doubling up of phraseology, the fact that we say it twice. We're going to continue.
And each time notated differently, meaning that they have different thoughts and they're meant to have different connotations.
Or it's like, I think, it could
well,
be an oxymoron, like
The
benevolent.
Gibor Tzai in the first part of the pasuk is notated differently. And
Gibor Tzai is a Merchat
Tzai
Tipcha.
are different thoughts that are linked, but they're further apart.
So you're going to see that they're both similarities. This is what he uses to rule, and differences before they're connected, and now they're disconnected.
Yes, and your infinite was isn't benevolent dictator a name of isn't that an oxymoron? An example of an oxymoron? No, I'm just. No, that's right on the top.
Only in the sense of it being ironic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
what do you think an oxymoron is?
But
there certainly
not necessarily
there
a
certainly
bad guy.
Oh,
there
really?
certainly are.
No, only when it's a benevolent. What? A dictator? Name me a good dictator. Mussolini? Hitler? No, only the. That's what I'm
You're a
saying.
third grade teacher who did the Shayag Nun class. Who taught you Shayag Nun?
No, that was no.
This is Bahar.
No, that was no. You're missing it. Anyway.
I mean, a king is a dictator.
No, he's not. He's a king. He's not a dictator. Dictator always has a negative connotation, doesn't it? The great dictator. Well, that was ironic when Chaplin said about Hitler. No, dictator has only negative connotation. That's why you have to add benevolence.
But it depends what the motivations are. Like to lead, you have to.
Then it would be a leader. Dictator is only negative.
So
Give me an example of a dictator. What comes to
literally-
mind when I say dictator? You don't say Truman, you don't say Golda Meir. Golda Meir wasn't a dictator. Ben Gurion was a dictator, but a benevolent dictator, let's say.
Okay,
No.
so you've just said
Okay,
the benevolent
just said
dictator.
what you named
No, but that's like why I have to qualify with benevolent. Point taken. No, because we're at the mercy of these Israelis, even though they're your relatives. Okay, and one day mine also.
And whoever
That
else
was a
is
proposal, by the way.
I like
whoever
this
else
is on tape.
Yeah, that's why I don't like
Okay.
it. I know the proposal. You didn't even hear that. Your brothers will pick it up before. Super, you remarrying me. Yet again. Whatever. Okay. Why don't want this?
Moving on.
Why don't we move along? Number 3,
We could edit the
lifnei,
last minute
with a
or two.
munach.
They don't-
So this is something that is separated out from things that have come before. We're finished that. No, we don't talk about it anymore. We're separating it out from things that have come before. And we're moving forward into what's going to go afterwards. Before, with the Mercha, number 3, he tried to prove that he could overcome all protective instincts and arrangements which were established before, at creation, in order to achieve his purpose, as stressed by the shape of the reading mark. So he is truly trying to define the reality of the world as it will be with people after his existence, by saying that the rules from before no longer apply to me, and my rules are what's going to go on from here on. So Lifnei has the Munach, Hashem, God's name, with the stabilizing etnachta to it. He indicated that his decisions must be carried out without substantial delay, being categorical, faster and superior to those of God, as denoted by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So he's
What? Are you commenting on Lifnei now, or?
we're talking on number 4, Hashem's name. Lifnei, we said, is that he decided that his things were going to establish a new order as opposed to the order that was established at creation.
Before.
So he is separating himself out from the order before and saying that his rules are the better and new rules.
So I just want to make a comment, even though this is way into the Perush, but I still get caught up with it, maybe for the newcomer, I don't want your name, is that the tendency still, so we are not making any comment about Lifnei Hashem as a unit, Lifnei Hashem.
So there are notes that are notes that have an implied pause, and there are notes that are implied servants to other notes. They connect words. So no question, Lifnei with a munach separates itself out from the things that come before,
Right.
but tie it, in at least in thought, to what's
Right.
going to come afterwards.
But
The etnachta is going to have a hard pause after it. It's going to have a semicolon or a comma.
You mean after Hashem?
After Hashem's name, after
Right.
after number 4, there's going to be a,
Right.
and also so we had discussed before that Torah is written as poetry, with a beginning of a phrase and the end of a phrase sort of separated by a semicolon, and perhaps the higher part of the thought reflected in the first half of the sentence, and a lower aspect of the same thought reflected in the second half of the sentence. So we'll try and do that here.
But in this Lifnei Hashem, the Mareh Yaakov, let's call him the Mareh Yaakov, he won't comment on the Lifnei Hashem as a phrase, sort of, right?
He won't comment it on it as a phrase in the context of each thing that is numbered.
Right. Okay.
So
As
he
a
will
thought,
say
right.
that things that have a mercha or a tipcha are connected to
Right.
each other because the phraseology connects them.
Right.
Um,
That's as far as I'll go with it.
But other than that, again, he will stick with the concept of notes being servants or kings, notes being something that leads up to something else, or something that stands by itself and stands alone.
And he would, the Mareh Yaakov would say that if you really wanted to make a comment, because I think I'm thinking it first now, that if you wanted to comment on Lifnei Hashem as a phrase, it would have to be that Lifnei wouldn't have a note under it. Then he would connect it.
Correct.
Right.
So Gibor Tzayid, which has one note on 2 words,
Right.
is connected and read together as a
Right.
single thought,
And that's when he has that
because
Yeah.
it's presented with a single note. Hu
And
haya.
So what is that thing under the who and the keyboard? That's a makap or what? That's not a note.
That's a makap, so that tells you what part of that word gets the accented syllable.
As far as the music part, or just speaking it?
Both.
Oh, okay.
So
But not in the.
But it has
a
no connotation in terms of meaning?
So it has a sense of pronunciation, and Hebrew has the sense of usually the last syllable being the accented syllable. However, there is meaning and strength to moving the accented syllable back. It actually makes a stronger form of the word.
Like, who I got, right?
So hu haya, with the accent on the first part, who has just one vowel. So it's very difficult to change the accent on that. But hu haya normally would pronounce haya with the accent on the yud. But if you wanted to make it more emphatic, it's not in this case, but hu haya would give you a more emphatic sense of was. So it would say, truly was. If the grammar of the phrase moved the accented syllable back, then that might be something that makes that word stronger or more noteworthy. So we will come to examples of that.
So how did you read hu haya?
The way that the note defines it, it's on the yud. So hu haya, which is the normal way that you would pronounce it.
And the fact that makap is there, does that do anything? What does that do?
It just tells you that who gets part of. It's not huaya. You don't completely ignore it and just get to the last note that has all the emphasis. We're saying that the emphasis of pronunciation is shared partially on the syllable with who, and mostly on haya.
Now, if they really want to emphasize who, there would be a note under there.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So we are at number 5, alkain with a pashta. So this is something that will make this word phrase emphasize slightly and able to stand. Number 5, he tries to prove the efficacy of his capabilities, the efficiency of his capabilities, even in complicated matters which could not be solved before by anyone. Over so, he proved his genius as suggested by the upper directional shape of the reading mark. So he was above the others by his ability to find solutions to things that the others could not solve. Ye amar, shall be said, with a katon. There was a 2-part note, so it's going to say that there are good and bad aspects to this. So number 6, he wanted to be recognized as a symbolic example of greatness and craved that his name shall be said with reverence and respect, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So he is looking for the respect at the level. Nimrod is looking at for respect, i.e., at the level that rivaling God.
Hero worship.
So he is looking for greatness, even though he is not at that level of greatness.
He almost wanted to be B'nai Hashem. That's what I was trying to do to the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be even above God. The
irony is that Nimrod, right? It means like someone.
What?
No, I don't know if I'm typing.
So it's okay. So So the vernacular takes something that society at the time had defined as something that is to be reviled, and one of the way to take power away from something that truly could hold influence over you, comedy is exceedingly efficient
comedy?
At taking away the strength of something that is strong.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to completely make somebody's point not relevant and not listened to, The way to do it is not to logically argue
Right, you make them
and
into
have
proof,
the other
exactly.
and have the other side hear your argument, because then they're going to have to decide between what their head says and what your
Right,
head
the credence,
says.
this way you just
On the
completely-
other hand, if you ridicule, then people, for social reasons, have to be polite and come to your point of view as, oh, well, this is something to be completely dismissed, and it is a very quick end to having an argument. It allows you to come to the very end where people have to agree with you, and it's done.
Or at least dismiss the gravitas of it and
Mhm.
just keep it as a trifle.
Why
So-
did you start